Today's a little bit of a departure from my typical style or beauty or skincare video, but as many of you know, I just went through a recent knee replacement surgery, and many of you have reached out and asked questions about that. And also, when I was prepping for surgery, I was YouTubing all sorts of videos, and there was really very little content about what to expect when you have a knee replacement surgery. So today's video is all about that. So I'm going to take you through from pre-surgery to post-surgery and the 6 weeks in between. So if you're just interested in style or beauty or skincare, then you can just zip on past this video. But I know there are so many of you that have gone through this or are going through this or are very interested in this topic. So this video is for you. Hi ladies, it's Beth. Thanks so much for stopping by today. And if this is your first time visiting, welcome, a very warm welcome. You can find me over on Instagram and Facebook, Style to Certain Age, and we have a lovely, lovely blog, lifestyle blog, health and wellness, fitness and recipes and cocktails, and of course, lots of style inspiration. And you can find that at styleatacertainage.com. But without further ado, let's get into the video about my knee replacement. As I mentioned, it's a little bit of a deviation from my typical style video, but when I was having my surgery, and especially post-surgery, I just wanted to know, like week by week, is this normal? Is this right? Is my knee healing properly? And of course, I had my physical therapist to ask a lot of questions about, but in between, your mind just kind of races. So I just thought I would share my experience. So we're going to get right to it. It's all coming up next. Okay, so I'll make this really easy for you. We're going to divide it into sections. So I'll have pre-surgery, and then the following 6 weeks, and then post-surgery. But the 6 weeks I'll divide into 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6, because your recovery is pretty much bundled into those weeks. You're really kind of expecting the same things in each of those. So we're going to hit it with pre-surgery, and that is, when you have your appointment with your orthopedic surgeon and his staff. And so there's maybe lots of questions that you're going to have. They're going to give you a lot of information to go through. But one of the things that's really, really important to do, and they will be very good about asking you what medications you take and supplements, because there may be some things that they want to have you stop, pre-surgery, and that's because, it may be thinning your blood, or something may tend to clot your blood, or there's just different things. So you really have to be very keen on sharing every little detail, every little, even if it's a Tylenol, you have to share that. For me, they took me off of, because I take fish oil, which is the good fat, and so they took me off of that, and then I was, I don't take any other medications. So just make sure you just go over everything with your doctor. And one of the things that I think is really important, and I think it might not be going through your mind, but after surgery, and especially if you're living at home alone, you will need some help. I mean, the first 2 weeks you are going to need help, and you're going to need a lot of it, because there are just so many of the tasks that you won't be able to do. So make sure that you have somebody, come and take care of you for the first week or 2 weeks, and then you start to get a little bit better as each week goes on. But for sure, you have to have somebody in your home the first 2 weeks. So prepare for that pre-surgery, and then also compression socks. And many times the doctor's office will even give you a pair of compression socks. They are wonderful after surgery, because they come along and they do help prevent blood clots. That's one of the things that you have to be on the lookout for the first at least 10 days to 2 weeks after your surgery. And compression socks really help with that. And they also really just help with, they just really kind of give you just a little bit of a protective layer. When I wear my compression socks, and I'll wear them a lot when I travel, they just really just have a nice snug fit, and your circulation is just really going very nicely because of the compression socks. So those are really the items that I would say pre-surgery. And then of course, ask your doctor any and all questions, because they are there to help you. So those are the things pre-surgery. And then I will just mention too that as far as the surgery goes, it's actually a very short surgery. It's just about 45 minutes. So, and you'll have probably about an 8 to 12 inch scar afterwards. And we'll get a photo of what my scar looks like now. I've shared some previous weeks of what it looked like post-surgery, and then now it's 6 weeks. So, but there's lots of actually good medication that will help you with your scar once you're healing. Okay, it's surgery day. So you go in most likely very, very early in the morning. And of course the team is there, the nurses and the techs and all of that. And they'll all be working on the things that they need to be working on. But one of the things I did just want to mention is just the anesthesia. So they just put you under very, very lightly with a general anesthesia. And that's because with the knee surgery, they give you, it's like an epidural. So if any of you have had an epidural when you've given birth to your baby, so they give you an epidural. So that's why they don't really have to put you under deeply, which is really kind of nice. And so the epidural, the beauty of that is that and this is my anesthesiologist shared this with me, is that because they know how long the surgery is, they know exactly what to give you as far as the dose is concerned with that epidural. Whereas like when you're in labor, they don't know how long that labor is going to last. It could be 1 hour, it could be 10 hours. So they kind of have to gauge something, you know, kind of in between. So I thought that was very interesting. So actually a very short surgery. The orthopedic surgeons kind of come in with their power saws. And I started to watch a couple videos of a actual knee surgery, and then I couldn't take it. So it's just like, no, that's just way too much information. But so very, very short surgery, and then they'll roll you back into recovery. And then once you're able to get back to your room, then, you know, the nurses come in and check on you. I actually went home that very same day. Many people stay in the hospital for, I guess, up to 2 or 3 days, and then you're having PT in the hospital. But I actually went home that day. But before I went home, I actually had to go through a series of tests. So they actually get you up and walking. I know when I first heard that, I'm like, what? You have to walk after your knee surgery that very same day? But you do. And but you're still on the drugs and the anesthesia and all of that, so it's not as painful as you might think. So I had to just go through just the different exercises that they wanted to gauge to see how I could handle my life at home. So so really pretty much that was it. I don't have the hospital story to share with you. Just the surgery actually is very very fast. It's very quick, and boom, I was home, ready for recovery. So as I said, I'm going to divide the weeks up into 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. And so the first 2 weeks are kind of a doozy. And don't let anybody tell you, my physical therapist actually told me this. He's like, oh, I hear all these patients, after it's been like, 6 months or so. Oh, I was walking. It wasn't very painful. He's like, they're all lying. It's very painful. And it's very fresh in my memory. So I'm here to tell you the day after I got home, so day 2, I woke up and I was like, what did I just do? It was so flipping painful, because all the drugs were wearing off and I hadn't started taking the prescriptions they had sent home for me. So one of the things that I will just warn you about is, yes, it does hurt. You have had major surgery. It's elective surgery, but still it's a big surgery. So it's kind of a big deal. So you are going to be very, very sore. So one of the things that's really important is, and all the nurses told me this, and I've known this from past surgeries with Mr. Style, you have to stay ahead of your pain. So if you do that, just be really religious about taking your pain medication, you're going to be fine. And you're going to be feeling so much better. And so don't be surprised when you wake up the next day and you are in a lot of pain, because it's going to be there. And one of the things that I was really kind of, I just didn't understand why my thigh was so sore, why my thigh muscles were so sore. Well, they typically put you in a tourniquet to steady your leg when they are doing the knee surgery. So that puts a lot of compression on your muscles. So that really kind of explained it right there. And I'm not actually going to go through the exercises with you, but one tip that I did discover is that you can just take like a rolling pin and just kind of roll it over your thigh muscles, and it really just kind of helps massage and make that feel a little bit better. So that's one of the things that I did. So that's just right out of surgery. You're just gonna feel like a truck hits you, but trust me, it gets a lot better. And so day 3, then I had to go to my first physical therapy appointment. So I was transported there, and that's why you need help, because you're not going to be able to drive. And they typically recommend not driving for 6 weeks, but I would, continue to check in with your physical therapist to see how you're progressing. But that's kind of the rule of thumb, is 6 weeks. You don't go back to work for 6 weeks, don't drive for 6 weeks, and just let your body heal. And I would not disagree with that at all. So have somebody help transport you to your physical therapy sessions. And then once I got there and I met my physical therapist, and he was just wonderful. And the physical therapists, honestly, are just a godsend. They will they've dealt with patients just like you. They know what they're doing. It's their job. So you really have to listen to them. So the first day, he just set me up with several different exercises. And one of the things that I just want to share with you that he really impressed on me is there are just 2 things you have to concentrate on with a knee surgery: straighten your leg and bend your leg. Those are the 2 key things. So I just really wrapped my head around that. And so that's what I did work on that, because you want to be able to straighten your leg as much as possible, and you want to get that mobility back. You want to get it back to at least 125 to 130 degrees backwards. And then you'll be able to just have the normal life that you weren't able to have before your knee surgery. So he just took me through my paces. There are a lot of exercises that I didn't think that I could do, and one was actually getting up and down out of the chair by myself. And he stacked the chair actually with 2 cushions, and he made me cross my hands like this, put both feet on the ground, and that's really the last thing that you want to do, is put any pressure on that knee. But here's also a key. Take your pain medication at least 45 minutes before your physical therapy session, and then you'll really be able to do all the things they want you to do. So getting up out of the chair, I told David, I'm like, there's no way, I can't do this. And of course, he just was like this, you're going to do it. So you know what? I did it just like all the other knee replacement patients before me, and so that was kind of a victory. So just doing that, we didn't put any weights or anything on the first 2 weeks, so it was pretty much very standard procedure every time I went. I did the knee slides, and I did the knee kicks, and I did getting up and down out of the chair, and then they had me on a little balance, like a bowl, what do they call those, a bosom? So you go back and forth like this. And so 40 minutes of just physical therapy, you just really feel great once you're done. But the first 2 weeks are really pretty much the same exercises, the same everything, until you hit week 3, and then they start to bump you up. So by week 3, and I had physical therapy sessions twice a week. So by week 3, I was really starting to feel so much better. And I will mention, you do have a walker at home. You actually have to have that. You have to bring it to the hospital. They want to make darn sure that you have that walker so that you can walk around the house. And you'll be very happy to have that walker. So you're kind of zipping around the house now by the 3rd week, and you're able to do some of the things on your own. Going to the bathroom is not nearly as challenging as it was when you first came home from the hospital. But one of the things that I really practiced was walking around the house with my walker. And as I said, you can really zip around. So that was very key. And also doing my physical therapy exercises at home. And one of the exercises that was really important and to keep your legs straight, and you can just use your couch for this. So you just basically lay down on the couch, and you just prop up your leg that had the surgery. So you prop that up on the couch, and the arm of the couch, and you just let it dangle, or you just kind of let it, fall where it needs to be. And it can be a little bit painful at first, but you really want to work up to 5 minutes. So you'll start out at 1 minute, and then progress on to 5 minutes. But that was one of the key exercises along with the knee bends or the knee slides, and then the knee kicks. So I was very faithful about doing all of that. So by week 3, then David started adding weights. So you'll start to do weights, and then they'll start to add some different exercises like, your leg raises and all of that. So I was just really sailing along, as I said, and I remember my physical therapist had also shared with me, he's like, you're going to have peaks and valleys. You're going to be like doing great, and don't be surprised if if you kind of come down, and then you do great, and then and then kind of 2 steps back. And I was just like, I was doing so amazing by week 3. I'm like, oh, for sure that's not going to happen to me, until one day when and I think David had just added a little extra weight, and I was almost finished with PT that day, and I just felt the last 2 just weren't right, and so it's like my tendon just kind of tweaked a little bit. So on my 4th week, I was really kind of struggling, and I was really back to, because my physical therapist had said, go from your walker to your crutch, or your cane, and even and I was doing so well at that point. By week 3, he was like, you really don't even need your cane anymore. So I just corrected myself. So I just went back to my walker, because I still wanted to have that mobility and walk really fast with my walker. And one of the tips actually that I had gleaned from another physical therapist is that because you don't want to ever walk with a limp after your surgery. So if you are starting to limp, or if it is getting a little bit impaired, like what happened to me, go back to your walker, because that's going to start to smooth things out. You're just, mentally, it just kind of gives you that support. And plus, you're just able to walk with a really nice gait. So if you're thinking that you're limping, or you're thinking that your gait isn't right, then don't be afraid to go back to your walker. I mean, that's what that apparatus is for. So anyway, so I'm kind of gimping around. So when I went back, so week 4, my physical therapy, and then I was, telling David what was going on, and he checked me out, and he's like, you know what? You've got to give yourself permission to take a day off. It's really okay not to do your exercises for one day, and I want you to rest. So actually, that's what I did. So I went home that day and I rested, and it was just the best thing, because then I rallied, and so I finished up week 4 feeling so much better than when I went into it. So week 3 and week 4, you're really going to start to cruise along, but don't be worried if you do have a little of a setback like I did. They are common. My physical therapist said they're common, so don't worry about that. And also, if your pain is still not manageable, then still take the pain medication that they gave you, because that's what it's there for. So week 5 and 6, those are really big weeks, because you are actually starting to feel so good. I mean, your staples were taken out, several weeks prior. Your scar's starting to heal. You're starting to feel a little bit more normal. You're moving around. You're probably moving around without your walker or your cane, and you're starting to actually feel like a more normal person. So this is the time that you really kind of have to push yourself just a little bit, and of course, under the guidance of your physical therapist, that you really want to work on that mobility. The mobility of, getting that range of motion back with your exercises. So my advice on week 5 and 6 is just to really kind of hit it hard. Let your physical therapist push you. That's when they introduced new exercises into my routine. And I forgot to say this. So you will have a stationary bike that they put you on in physical therapy. And that is, so just like the victory of me getting up and down out of my seat all by myself. So the first time that you can do a rotation on this stationary bike is huge, because they have you, the very first time, you're pulling it back, and you're just like, I can't quite get there. And then you go the rotation the other way, and you're almost there. And David said that everybody always goes backwards first. That motion is so much easier. So the first time, and I really didn't think that I could do it, and he pushed me. So the first time I did that, that was a victory. So once you can do the backwards, then you have to do the forward, which is a little bit harder. But one of the things that I think is really beneficial, and I have a Peloton bike, is just going down and just getting those rotations in, because that just really loosens your knee up. Your knee's still going to get stiff. It's still going to be sore. You know, there's you're healing, but I mean, honestly, it really takes a lot longer than even 6 weeks. But that really gentle bicycle, the rotation of that really is, I think it was one of the keys to my success. So I'll just pass that along to you, because as I said, it just gets the stiffness out of your knee. And so as far as physical therapy is concerned, that's, you know, they're just adding more weights on. They're kind of tweaking all of the exercises, just really kind of monitoring how you're doing to bring you up to week 6 when you are actually discharged. So week 6 is really the big week. And then that's, you know, when you get to drive again. And that's, I mean, if you haven't been, I mean, I have to say I was cheating. I was driving myself before week 6, but technically you're not supposed to drive until week 6. You have your 6-week checkup with your orthopedic surgeon. So they take x-rays. They want to make sure that everything is, you know, is going well on the inside as well as the outside. So you have that big appointment, and then they tell you, you know, okay, you can go off, you know, and have your amazing life. You can go garden again. You can go exercise again, you know, all the things that you weren't able to do before you had your knee surgery. So it's really kind of a big day. And so the same day then I had my last physical therapy session with David, and he gave me, you know, at-home exercises, just gave me advice that, and which I'll pass along to you, is that yes, you're doing so well at 6 weeks, but you really can have relapses if you're not faithful about doing your physical therapy at home. So you have to make sure that you continue on straightening the leg and bending the leg. And so don't think that you can let up with that. You don't have to necessarily do it every day, but you should probably be doing those exercises 3 to 4 days out of the week. And 6 weeks, I mean, I see the light at the tunnel. I have so much more mobility. I'm walking more naturally. I'm actually back in the gym. I have a home gym, so I'm starting out very slowly. But I'm actually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I haven't been on any medication at all for, I think, 3 weeks. You know, so my system is, you know, getting clear from that. I had my first Peloton class, which, I mean, I'm not like spinning like I used to, but I went through I went through the motions of the entire class, because there again, it's just such a wonderful motion for your knee, as just a cycle like that. So I'm back to doing that. I've done a little bit of light gardening, but my recovery and all knee replacement recoveries really last until a year, even until 18 months afterwards. And so that just means that you just continue to build your flexibility. You continue to build those muscles back. You just continue to build your strength, and you will just be on your way to, just a vibrant, healthy life. And I will tell you, I am so thankful that they have knee replacement surgeries, that they have, bionic knees, and, that will give me my life back. And I am telling you, it's not necessarily, it's not a cakewalk. I mean, don't let anybody tell you that it is, but you start to progress through just so nicely from week 1 to where I am at week 6. And I can only imagine what's going to happen at the year mark. So that's my story. I just thought I would share that with you. As I said, when I was researching knee replacement surgeries, there's not a lot of information out there, but definitely listen to your doctors, listen to your physical therapist, and just be faithful to do the exercises at home, and you're going to be great. Well, gang, thanks so much for stopping by today. Of course, give me a thumbs up if you liked the video or found it informational. Don't forget to hit that subscription box down below so you don't miss any videos coming your way. And yes, there will be some style ones very, very soon. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.